Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Hello, everyone, to our moderators, speakers, and all participants here. How are you? I hope you are well and healthy. And thank you for today to joining to ICYIP Indonesia-Cambodia Youth Initiative Program 2021 on Season 7. And we will talk about optimizing the dissemination and validity of the Information Center for Natural Disaster Mitigation in Indonesia and Cambodia. And now, before we start this webinar, let me to inform you about our schedule from today. First, we will listen the opening remarks from Mr. Jenly Emmanuel Bagensa as Executive Director of RON International Indonesia. And after that, also, I will do introduction, our moderator before the webinar start. And second, we will listen the introduction speaker from our moderator. She is Miss Ray Roth. And then the third, we will listen our keynote speaker presentation from Mr. Muhammad Habib Abian Zakwan as a researcher, Disaster Management Search Unit, Center of Strategic and International Studies, CIS Indonesia. And then after that, we will have the interaction with our keynote speaker. To all participants, if you have one question, you could ask to the keynote speakers. It's only like 10 minutes. And the first, we will listen our speaker from Indonesia. He is Mr. Jordan Ibrahim as Chairman of Pahlawan Bencana Community and Assistant Lecturer at Maranatha University. And after it also, we have interaction with our speaker from Indonesia. And to all participants, if you had a question, yeah, you could to ask to our speaker from Indonesia. And then the fifth, we will listen our speaker from Cambodia. He is Mr. Soktola, as a bachelor in Indonesia bachelor student in international relations at Asia Euro University and translator and reader at CFN. And after that also we have interaction with our speaker from Cambodia. And to all participants, if you have a question, you could ask to our speaker from Cambodia. And the seventh, we will have a Q&A session, and all participants, you could ask to all speakers here. And last, we will listen the closing remarks from Mr. Jelly as Executive Director of RON International Indonesia. And please stay in this room because we will have a photo session before we end the webinar. And to Mr. Jelly, to give the opening remarks, and please, time is yours.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Aurelia, for the opportunity to deliver the opening remarks. I think I just deliver some point and statement for this 7 webinar session. We will talking about the optimizing the dissemination and validation of the information center for disaster management in Indonesia and also in Cambodia. I think on behalf of International, I would like to say thank you very much to all the speakers, especially for our keynote speakers, Mr. Muhammad Habib Abian Sakwan, as the researcher from Disaster Management Unit, Center for Strategic and International Studies in Indonesia. And also, we would like to say thank you to our representative speakers from Cambodia and Indonesia. there is the first Mr. Tola from Cambodia. He is as the bachelor student in international relations from the University of Asia Euro University in Cambodia, and also our third speakers come from Indonesia. He is Mr. Jordan Ibrahim. He is the chairman of Pahlawan Bencana community. Okay, and also I'd like to thank you to all participants who join this webinar session. Hopefully, by this webinar, we will get more benefits, both new information, knowledge, and insight, and valuable and experience from all the speakers. I think all the speakers come from the same field in this topic with this topic. Okay, I hope all of us enjoy this webinar and take more benefits from this webinar, and keep in touch. Maybe if you want to maintain your relationship with all the speakers, please you can contact him and directly, or you can contact us. That's all from me and from Ruang International. Thank you very much, and turn on all. Yeah, please, Miss Aprilia, to continue the session.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Jenny. And now, before we start to our webinar, let me introduce our moderator. Please to show the screen. Okay, thank you, Mr. Jenny. And our moderator, she is Miss Trey Roth. She is as a co-founder of Raw International Indonesia, and she is also a bachelor student international relations at University of Cambodia, and also voluntary in ICS projects. And she is also as a former English teacher as Visual Health School. And thank you. Hello, Miss Rayrod.
Hello, Aprilas. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. How about you?
Yeah, I'm great too. Okay, yeah, thank you, Aprila, for introducing me. Once again, I would like to good afternoon to our speaker and our organizer and also the participant here. I hope you all doing well. And my name is Raydwat once again, and I will be the moderator for today's session. So without further ado, I would like to introduce our guest speaker as well. Yeah. For our guest speaker today is Mr. Muhammad Habib Abiyan. This one, yeah. Currently, he is the researcher, disaster management research unit at Center for Strategic and International Study, CSIS Indonesia, and he graduated of bachelor degree in international relations from University of Indonesia. And he is also a master student in international relations at the John Hopkins University, USA as well. And for Mr. Muhammad, do you want to give a short speech before starting the presentation or not? Are you with us now?
Yeah, I'm with you guys. No, I mean, I'm good. Just continue first.
Yeah, okay, thank you. So let's move to our next speakers. For our next speaker, he is the Cambodian speaker. His name is Sok Tok Lar, and currently he is the translator and reader at CFN. And he is a bachelor student in international relations at Asia Europe University. And his background, he is a former as English teacher at the Camp Top International School, and also he is like a human resource executive at Value Advertising, and also he is the Chinese student as well. Okay. Yes. Hello, Mr. Dokla.
Yeah, hi.
Okay.
Yeah,
You
nice
want to give us a speak or not?
I think no, you just have mentioned my introduction already. So maybe we have to wait for our webinar.
Yeah, okay, thank you. And for our third speaker, he is the Indonesian speakers. His name is Abraham Gardens. Currently, he is chairman of Palawan Bencana community, and he is a bachelor degree in psychology from University Maranatha Bandung. Also, he performed as human resource at Upsign internship and former assistant lecturers at Maranatha University, and also he is former as a recruiter at Poda Palpo Barracks. Okay, so now I would like to give the floor to our guest speaker, to Mr. Muhammad. Okay.
Okay. Thank you, Fan. So I'm gonna share screen right now. Wait a sec. Oh, can you all see the presentation?
Yeah, we saw.
Okay.
But
Perfect.
not okay.
Yeah, I'm trying. Sorry, my. So anyway, thank you so much for having me on this occasion, Janly and guys, Fan and also Aprilia from Ruang International. It's definitely an honor for me. I'm joining from Washington D.C. right now, so it's early in the morning. So today we are going to discuss about disaster early warning system in Southeast Asia, as requested by friends from Ruang International Disaster Information. But I think today I'm gonna focusing my presentation on the disaster early warning system in Southeast Asia. Yeah. So before we proceed, I think we have to be familiar, or we have to understand about the context that we are speaking right now, which is the international. We have to understand about the international guideline, the existing international guideline. Here I quote Sendai Framework 2015 to 2030. So there are four priorities basically, but because we are going to discuss about disaster information and disaster early warning system, it comes with the first priority, which is understanding disaster risk. And the question being whether we have another guideline for our region. And the answer will be yes, we have. Uh, we call it as regional constitution on disaster, or the actual name is ASEAN Agreement on Disaster and Emergency Response. So there are several components within the document itself, and you can check it out from Google. But today we are going to discuss about disaster risk identification, assessment, and also monitoring. And so let's start with disaster risk landscape in Southeast Asia. As we know that there are 10 members of ASEAN, 10 member states of ASEAN, And today we specifically focus on Cambodia and also Indonesia. And as you may see from your monitor right now, Indonesia and the Philippines consist of two most prone countries in the region. And I think Indonesia is the leading one. While in fact comparing to Cambodia, I think Cambodia is prone to disasters, but it's not as prone as Indonesia and also the Philippines. And yeah, we may check from this data or this graph. Disasters are increasing over the years, and Indonesia, in particular, experience very increasing surge in number of disasters. And then we check here. So there are four components that I'm going to discuss: risk score, multi-hazard exposure. So in terms of the risk, Indonesia composed the third position among 10 other ASEAN member states. And while it is quite close with Cambodia. What do I mean by risk score? It means that each country is exposed to a type of disasters. Basically, Indonesia and Cambodia have the same um, uh, probability of being exposed to disasters. While on the other hand, when you check the other picture, multi-hazard exposure, it means that a country is being exposed to more than one type of disasters. And we can check here that Indonesia is higher. I mean, like in terms of the position, is higher than Cambodia. Indonesia definitely is exposed by a lot of disasters ranging from tsunami, earthquakes, and then landslides, and then floods, and so on and so forth. And I think in terms of Indonesia and Cambodia, the characters of disasters are different. Indonesia most likely faces, hydrometeorological combined with geological disasters like as I mentioned, quakes, tsunami. But I don't think quakes and also tsunami happen in Cambodia. And let us check about the lack of coping capacity here. Cambodia unfortunately sits at the very top of this rank. It shows that Cambodia needs to improve their capacity in dealing with disasters, and I know Cambodia is working on it right now. There are several improvements as we speak right now. While in fact Indonesia is also on the top five of countries that suffer from the minimum coping capacity. On the other hand, like in terms of vulnerability, Cambodia is also sitting on the top of the rank. It means that Cambodians are very vulnerable to disasters. I mean, in terms of whether they are living in the village or they are living in the cities, they are very prone. They are very vulnerable to disasters. While on the other hand, Indonesia is doing better in terms of the vulnerability. I mean, if you live in the city or in the urban area, I don't think that you are as vulnerable as those who live in the villages. And then, so I'm just gonna discuss about the recent disaster events in Cambodia. I think maybe Fan and also my colleague from Cambodia, later the speaker, knows about this fact that there are flash floods in Battambang province. I think recently, and then thunderstorms in early May. And we know that it affects people. It affected people. It forced people to evacuate themselves or to move to the shelter. And at the same time, we know that we are currently facing the COVID-19 pandemic. So I don't know, I'm really concerned about the situation in the shelter and the temporary shelter. Maybe the speakers could share a bit about what happens right now there. And then in Indonesia, we also face like flash flood in central Sulawesi, like early July, and also the earthquake in Yogyakarta in Gunung Kidul. So yeah, basically these kind of disasters. I just would like to put emphasis that natural phenomenon or natural catastrophic do not stop occurring, even if we are currently suffering from a disaster, from a pandemic, from a global pandemic. So we need to be aware. We need, I mean, each of us need to be aware about how do we mitigate disasters. surrounding us. And then, so the question will be, how do we manage those disasters? Basically, we already have an organization at the regional level. We call it as the AHA Center, or ASEAN Center for ASEAN Coordinating Center for Humanitarian Assistance. It was established after the tsunami in 2004. Definitely, the countries in Southeast Asia think we need a regional body to deal with at least for aspects like coordination among countries, resource management, disaster information, and also knowledge and outreach. And they provided us, if you want to check the website of the AHA Center, please do so. You may find a lot of disaster information right there, from disaster monitoring and up to the weekly disaster updates. And I think it is very crucial for those who live in disaster areas. But unfortunately, disaster information provided by the AHA Center is limited to those regional scale of disasters, not local scale of disasters. And this is I'm trying to compare between Indonesia and Cambodia when it comes to disaster information. So basically, both countries have already used the technology. In Cambodia, we noticed that if you open like EWS 1294, you can check whether your area is exposed or is vulnerable to flood or not, or any other disaster. On the other hand, like in Indonesia, we have already used the application called as INERIS. So if you have a mobile phone right now, you can install it. The application called as INERIS, and also Info BMKG. It provides any real-time information about the earthquake, and also about the weather forecast. And about National Disaster Management Day, I think recently the Cambodian Prime Minister Hun Sen recently announced about Cambodia is going to have an annual National Disaster Management Day, will be occurring on October 13. While in terms of Indonesia, we have already established this on April to 26th, every April 26th. And call center, I think this is very crucial as well if you want to access disaster information. 1294 for Cambodia. I mean, wherever you are in Cambodia, I think you just dial the hotline or the number right there, and you can access the information. While in Indonesia, I think the disaster information from call center is a bit, spread out across the ministries, across the government agencies. But I think if you want to access disaster information, you can dial 117 and connect with our National Disaster Management Authority. And about the National Disaster Strategy, I think Indonesia and Cambodia have created these strategies by four, and I think that's good. We project. We also consider climate change that can affect disaster risk landscape, as we discussed earlier. So again, this is my last slide, and I just would like to emphasize that Cambodia and Indonesia are two countries. I mean, in terms of risk landscape, both are exposed by disasters. Even though we know that Cambodia is more exposed with hydrometeorological disasters like flood, landslide, storms. I mean, we know that Cambodia is located along the Mekong River, Mekong subregion, and Indonesia is an archipelagic state located in the Ring of Fire. So we have different risk landscape, although we share similar disaster vulnerability. So with that being said, I'm going to close my presentation and looking forward if there is any question or a suggestion. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Muhammad. It is such a very insightful speech. And have you ever visited Cambodia before?
Unfortunately, I haven't, but I'm really looking forward if there is any occasion in the future.
Okay, thank you. And if there are any participant who have any question, you can raise your hand and ask directly, or you can drop your question in comment. Maybe, yeah. So once again, can I ask you like one question? I want you to sum up once again about how to manage the disaster, like effectively. Yeah.
I think first we have to understand disaster risk in our area. So where do we live? I don't think there is a place is very safe from disasters. I don't think there is that kind of place. So we have to understand the risk. We have to check from the reliable resources from the government, from international organizations as well. And then second, we need to enhance our own capacity, like learning or joining this kind of webinar or joining other kind of courses provided by the government or also international organization. I think it will be good. And also the third one, we have to promote disaster awareness, because I think, as I mentioned earlier, disasters do not stop even if we suffer from a pandemic, a global pandemic like COVID-19, or we suffer from any other rail rallies and so on and so forth. So it is very crucial for us, particularly for young generation like you guys, definitely.
Okay, thank you. And now we have one question from our participant. Like his question is come from Mr. Rayo, and his question is how we find the difference between hoaxed information and research information, because they are also have some propaganda research to get the opinion, the publics, and support some interest, both personal or group interest. Yeah.
Okay, maybe Rio can explain. I mean, just turn on then the microphone and explain your question, probably, if that makes sense.
Rayo, are you here? Maybe.
Okay, no worries. I think I'm just explaining about what kind of actions we should take in order to identify which one is hoax and which one is not. So basically, I think you should not easily trust any information, particularly if you are located in disaster-prone areas. You should really look up to like government sources. I think government sources are the most reliable one, particularly if it is provided by the disaster government agencies. Like in Cambodia, I'm sure there is a national disaster management agency, and also in Indonesia we also have it. So that's the first one. We should not be we should not easily trust any information. And then second, try to verify any information you get, basically from one source. You should look up to another source, like from television and also mass media. I think mass media like television and also newspaper, I think they also provide reliable sources of information to be used as a comparative source of information. And then the third one, basically stop atau just stop spreading information that you are not sure about the validity of the information itself. So yeah, I'm just stop right there. I just stop right there.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Muhammad, once again for your speech and sharing today's. And for now, I would like to invite our another speakers, which is come from Cambodia, Mr. Tola. Yeah.
Anyway, Fan, sorry. I mean, like, sorry to cut you off before we proceed to another speaker. I just would like to say sorry because I cannot join up till the last moment of this event. I wish the best of luck for the event, and thank you so much again for inviting me. So yeah, enjoy the discussion. I hope it enlightens some of you about the disasters. Because in BC it's already 4 a.m. in the morning. So yeah, thank you, and have a great discussion.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Okay.
Hello. Sayrod, you please turn on your.
Yeah, we hear you.
Okay. Okay, so do you see my screen, everybody?
Yeah. We
Hey, wait.
saw it.
Is it working now?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so first of all, I want to tell you guys that because I cannot turn on my camera because in my area there would be some of the unstable network, so I could not turn on. Maybe at the end of the section we will have a photo shotting, so I will try to turn it on. But right now we just focus on the webinar only. So I will talk about the optimizing, because our topic today, we're talking about the optimizing the dissemination and validity of the Information Center for Natural Disaster Mitigation in Indonesia and Cambodia. So I would like to introduce myself. So my name is Sok Tolan, and I come from Asia Euro University. And right now I stepped into the year 4 of my field, and I also work as the like the moderator. Introduced myself already. Yeah, so maybe you know my name, Tola. Okay, so let's go to next slide. Okay, so here are the contents of my topic today. So I will talk about the introduction to the natural disaster and Cambodia climate change, how to stay informed with natural disaster, how to reduce natural disaster, and conclusion, and more sources. Okay, let's go to the first content today. Well, so the first content is that the introduction to the natural disaster. As everybody know that natural disaster is a very harmful phenomena, which is sudden happen to the world. It's not only a country. For example, if one country try to do bad thing, try to pollute the environment, so their natural disaster will also harm to the other countries. You understand? Yeah, like recently, like in Thailand, so in Thailand they have like a chemical air, like a poisonous air, which has come from one of their company, Mingdi, just burned a couple weeks ago. Yeah, according to my memory. Yeah, so that kind of smoke can link to Cambodia as well by the acid rain or something. Yeah, so in this case, natural disaster can harm to human, not only a country, but it's across the boundary. Okay, natural disaster has destroyed so many people and sites, like health, like economic, tourism. Yeah, so natural disaster, destroyed so many sites in the world. Not a single country, but it can be across the continent. Like sometimes you may think, oh, maybe across the European continent to the Asian continent, so maybe it would not happen, but it can be happen. Yeah, so if we try to destroy or cut down a tree or something, yeah, we'll talk in the next slide, but we just review a little bit about the natural disaster. And in this problem, we have one of the international organization called World Meteorological Organization. It is an intergovernmental organization with a membership of 193 member states and territories. Established by the ratification of the WMO, we call this organization as a short form as the WMO the WMO organization. It is established since 23rd March to 1950. So if you are, if you have any question, like you don't understand about anything, like if you are the freshman or the student in the weather field or climate change or something, so this organization might be really, really helpful for you. You have to know this organization. So some of my friends, they haven't known about this yet, but maybe we will show about it in this webinar today. Okay. And related to this organization, we have 4 responsibility: atmospheric science, climatology, hydrology, and geophysics. Let me introduce you one by one. Okay, so the first one is the atmospheric science. So atmospheric science and climatology is kind of very similar, but we also have but I can also found a different thing between both of the first and the second one. So the atmospheric science is related to it's a study of the atmosphere, is a study of the climate. But how about climatology? Climatology is also about climate as well, but climatology study for a long period, like a whole year, like 10 years or something, in a long period. But atmospheric science, which is, atmospheric science is a big one, is the main point, is the main, how could I say, it's like, is the main, in the atmospheric science, we have meteorology and climatology, but atmospheric science, you can say we study for a short time only. We study for for a day. We predict the weather, forecasting the weather for a day or maybe for 2 days or 7 days, a short period. But climatology, we study, we predict for a long time happen in the future. For example, according to the NASA, just report from last week, 2030 will be flooded in their coastline, in the coast area, along the beach area. Yeah, so all the city will be flooded in 2030 because of the moon bumble, because of the moon movement. So this is from the NASA. So they predict a long time, we call climatology. Well, let's go to the third one, hydrology. Hydrology, the word hydrology would be very complicated, but it's defined as the water study. We study about water in the earth, whether it comes and recycle or something. So it's related to the water. Okay, the last one, geophysics. Geophysics, we study about the map. We study about the earth, the shape, the movement of earth, the environment in the space, and we study about the gravitational field. Yeah, so we focus on geophysics. So these 4 sites are the responsibility of the WMO. Well, so natural disaster statistic, according to the link I put down here, you can see from 2000 till 2020. But you can see the picture. You may wonder why it 1978 till 2018. This is the, you can check more, and then you will see 2000 till 2020. Okay, in the link here. So according to this information, I find out that during 2020, there were 8,100 deaths, and it lost about $268 billion worldwide. Yeah, so this is according to the world data, which I got from the link below. You can check more, yeah. And for the last decade, I have mentioned also, there were 60,000 deaths as well of the natural disaster, yeah. And I also have many kinds of, I also can show you like the types of natural disaster, like Indonesia can meet the most is earthquake, like Mr. Muhammad have mentioned earlier. actually, I just find out the volcano as well happened in Indonesia, which is in the Merapi. Is that Merapi? I forgot the name of your volcano. Maybe more Merapi. Okay, so Merapi, I just report the information, report the news maybe the last couple weeks ago. Yeah. So Merapi is also very common and a very active volcano. Well, so there are four, you can see here, there are four common natural disasters. We have flood, earthquake, wildfire, and storm. This is according to the World Natural Disaster Report. Let me introduce you a little bit to Cambodia climate change. Hi everybody, so you know about Cambodia already, but I really want to advertise, kind of promote my country, even in a bad background something, because we have some of the climate change as well. So Cambodia is one of the Southeast Asian country. In Asian, we are the neighboring country with 181,035 square kilometer of land and 4,520 square kilometer of water. Cambodia consists of mountains, plains, and great river. We have the Mekong River, which is which have the Phnom Penh as their capital city along the Mekong River. Important overland and river trade routes linked to China, to India and Southeast Asia, and has border with three neighboring countries. We have Thai, Laos, and Vietnam, and another part is a Gulf Sea at the northwest side of the country. You can see the map here. We have this is kind of very small right now, but before we have with a big empire. Yeah, so that kind of very sad, you know the history already. So we have two main seasons. We have only dry season and rainy season, which consists for dry season 6 months, and we also have rainy season 6 months as well. But right now it seems like it's changing and we cannot predict whether it is dry or not. Right now we are in the rainy season, but the weather seems like very, very hot, and you know, most of the rain in Phnom Penh, but at the province there lack of rain. Yeah. Okay, so dry season from November, April, but okay, wait. Technical problem, wait. Okay. Yeah, so 6 months, 6 months for rainy season and dry season. And I really want to know too about the Indonesia season. Maybe the next speaker will tell me about the Indonesian climate change, because I really want to know like how many weather, okay? So Cambodia is ranked as one of the most climate vulnerable country, not only in Southeast Asia, but the world. The climate risks were highest during 1996, 2015 based on the extreme weather event. So during from 1996 to 2015, this is a period of a very active and very harmful weather, very harmful climate, which costs the Cambodian economic and a very poor situation. So moreover, 80% of people, I mean, of the country, they live I mean, based on the crop production, they grow the crop like rice or maybe corn or something. Yeah, but most of them are in a rural area. In 2004, 2009, 2016 are the most natural disaster impact because of the flood. This is from the UNDP. Okay. And we also have the health impact because of the natural disaster. When the rain comes nonstop, and then it start to have the like mosquito, so they will also I mean, make us become like sick, to get malaria or dengue fever or something. So this is not only the natural disaster killers, but comes from the I mean, the natural disaster makes two things. The first one, the natural directly killers, and the second one, the natural disaster try to manage or try to control the mosquito. Yeah. And the economic, we lost about 1.5 billion in 2015. And according to ADB, Asian Development Bank, they help us with 96 million on aid in 2015 as well. So this is because of the natural disaster. Okay. Well, let's talk about Cambodian natural disaster. I will give you more examples. So these are the pictures we met during like in 2011, but the last picture from maybe a couple years ago. Yeah, so the first one that you can see like in the rural area in the province. So flood is the most common event which has happened in Cambodia. So in Indonesia, you got earthquake, but right now, right here we got flood. Okay, because of the sewage system is limited, because the country tried to cut down the lake. I mean, they want to build the logistic, they want to build a house, so they would delete the lake. Okay, so can make a flood happen easily. In 2011, you can see 50,000 family and 250 deaths. This is the most this is the most worst year of their since we have in 1996. Yeah. Well, let's talk about Cambodian natural disaster more. Not only flood, but we also have drought because of no rain. Actually, it's happened to the rural area. Like my grandmother, she is living in the northwest province of Cambodia, and she is facing with a very bad situation now. She kind of lack water because she grow watermelon and grow some of the rice and I don't know whether they have corn or not, but yeah, drought is a very harmful one. It usually occur during dry season. Hot temperature increased up to 40 degree, as I remember in 2018. Yeah, so rural area like from Mekong River is okay because they are staying along the Mekong River. Maybe they can use that water. But what about the far province, like my grandmother province, like the northwest one near the border? So they will easily get the drought. Okay, so you can try to see the picture. This is I try to download the real one. Yeah. Well, so this is the hot topic now. Let's go to Kiridom hydropower dam. As everybody know that hydropower dam is good for people, is good for the country to produce more electricity, to produce more energy, because right now we Cambodia, like as I remember when I was in high school or something. Yeah, so maybe we have outage for several times per day. Yeah, so that was kind of very terrible situation and I really hate it. Yeah, but right now there are lack of outage. We have enough electricity because of the hydropower dam. But do you know that what are the impact of the hydropower dam? So let me introduce you to one of the history Kiridom 1 hydropower dam. So Kiridom 1 hydropower dam was one of the dam signed with the electricity of Cambodia, we call EDC, and with one of the Chinese electric power technology import and export cooperation. So this hydropower dam produced up to 12 megawatt, and it's located in the Kiridom National Park. Before it's established in 1968, but then later on when the Khmer Rouge come, it collapsed in 1975, but then rebuilt again in 2002. So this is the Kiridom 1, like we start after we how could I say, after we finish from the nightmare like nightmare Khmer Rouge. Okay, so this is the Kiridom 1, but now it's not work. Yeah, but this is the update, the last update of the hydropower dam we call Kiridom 3. So Kiridom 3 is located in Sraiambal district, Dangpeng, which is in the Kakong province of Cambodia. And this hydropower dam also signed with one of the Chinese state-owned China National Heavy Machinery Corp, we call CNHM, but some of the site they said not this company, but CETI, CETIC. What? CETIC. Yeah. So I'm not really sure whether CNHM or TIC, but they all Chinese company. So they signed again, and according to the Phnom Penh Post report last month, so they build up to 80%. They're almost done, and the government announced that this hydropower dam will produce more energy, up to 18 megawatt. Yeah. So and the active hydropower dam, we got 3. And the total electricity, we got 602 megawatt. So we have Chrom Kraum, we have Steng Tatai, and the last one is Girirum 3. So I mean, from the past until now, there are more than 70 hydropower dam, but still have some are active. But most of the hydropower dam are canceled now. I'm not really sure what was the reason. Yeah. But let me talk about the impact of the hydropower dam. So as everybody know that impact, I mean, the hydropower dam give us more electricity and energy, but it also harm to the human life. It also harm to the environment, like land erosion. Land erosion, seed loads, ecological system, forest, home, water temperature, river flow characteristic. Let me introduce you one by one. So the hydro power dams, when it comes, I mean, when it's operate, so the water comes down and it crush with the land, so it make the land become erodes, and it also blow with the good soil away, and the some of the water and some of the forest and fish we call ecological system will also goes by the water, so they don't actually stay in a place. So when they're home, I mean, when they're when the village around their hydropower dam area, so they will be harmful. They will be flooded sometime. Yeah, and the water try to change the temperature quite frequently, and the river is also flow not properly. It's like, I mean, it changed their change the direction of the water. Yeah, so this is very harmful, and we all, I mean, one day we will also meet with the earthquake as well. So in Indonesia, earthquake is quite popular and common, but you don't even know about Cambodia. I mean, according to my studies since I was in high school, I remember one of my teachers told me that not only in Indonesia or the Philippines, because they are a group of Iceland, but Cambodia is also can meet with the earthquake as well one day because of the the earth heart. They the movement of it, when the country tried to cut down the tree, when they they build a lot of dams, so the water goes like to kill their earth layer. So that one day, when the movement of the earth come, we will also meet with the earthquake as well. Yeah. So, but I'm not really sure whether it will be in 2030 or 2050. I'm not sure. Yeah, but I hope we will not meet the earthquake. Okay, so let's come. To hit the point. How to stay informed with the natural disaster. Everybody really want to know how to stay informed with the natural disaster. So I got 3 points today, and I hope the 3 points will help you. So number 1, subscribe to Text Alert service. And number 2, keep a list of family, friends, local authority contact. Number 3, listen closely to reports. I will explain to you detail. Okay, so number 1, subscribe to Text Alert service. So actually, like Mr. Muhammad mentioned at the at the last moment, that you have to understand, you have to know which page or which social media, which sources are the official for government, or like, you have to find, so find the official government site related to the weather and build it as your notification. Ring it, because I find out that most of the people, most of teenager right now, they just focus on the game, they just focus on the social media. They're like Facebook or something, like teenager their girlfriend or boyfriend, something like this. So they just turn on a notification for their story, but they don't care much about the natural disaster. Please turn on the notification as an actor. When their ministry posts something, you will know, you will get it quickly. So here of the picture of my country, we have Ministry of Water Resources and Meteorology and Ministry of Information. We have more side, we have more ministry, but I just put the main one because I don't have so much space. So maybe if you come to Cambodia, you will have to download this one for but I think Ministry of Water Resource and Meteorology doesn't do much, because I just see like a simple post. They post like, oh, they have rain at this province, rain at those province, but it's not really happen at all. I mean, sometimes I don't trust, but they have verification increase. I just trust for myself. Yeah. And okay, number 2, keep a list of family, friends, local authority contact. You know, your friends, your family are the very very important wait, I'm tired. Okay, so you need to keep your family contact, your friends, or maybe your police in your area in order to save your life. So in Cambodia, I don't think it will be harmful, but in Indonesia, if I have a chance to go one day, I will have to keep like police or my friends, because earthquake can happen. We cannot predict, but in Cambodia, I'm sure there will not have the earthquake, but like I mentioned, it will be one day. Yeah. So here I just screenshot in my phone. We have police, local police. Yeah, I always call him when I got some of the wonder related to the natural disaster, or maybe some of the accident, or maybe a bad story happened near my house, something like this. So keeping your family, friends, and authority are the very significant key to do. Okay. Number 3, listen closely to reports. So please, sometime you have download, you have subscribed the official government page already, but you when they post something, you always just scroll up and down quickly, and then you don't care a lot about them. So you also miss the information as well. So in order to to stay informed, you need to read the report one by one and pay attention, listen carefully. If you are using radio, like near my house, like they don't have TV, or they don't have, they are not kind of very rich family, so they have a one radio. So they would listen to the radio every night about the information about the news in the country related to the weather or something. Share it to other people after you watch it already. Don't keep it in your mind. If you want to kill people, you can keep, but if you want to help people, you can also share it to other people. Check your own trust app frequently. I think you guys may have your own app with the natural disaster. Yeah, but like Mr. Muhammad mentioned, we also have some of the unreliable apps. They just want you to download to get money, but we cannot trust them. Yeah, so I would like to introduce you a little bit, like some of the app you can download. I just find out from the internet, but that is the official one, come from the official page and website. So I have 10, but you can just read by yourself. But the last one, number 10, your original app from your phone. Your original app from your phone, like if, for example, you bought an iPhone, so they will give you one of the original one. You cannot uninstall it. So this is called original. It can help you to know about the original weather as well. So other apps can be fake, can be cheat you. Unreliable, but your phone will have the original app, so you can trust your phone as well. Okay, this is from the picture from my phone. Yeah, so yes, since yesterday, 28 degree. Well, so it's nearly come to an end, but how to reduce natural disaster? We cannot eliminate it quickly, but we can do it by one, step by step. So growing more trees to build earth layer, protect coral reef, do not dig the earth deeply. I found out that Cambodia right now they build the big buildings, so they will dig their land to the deep level, so it will harmful for your country to be the earthquake can happen at any time. So when the earth comes to like a thinner and thinner, so the earthquake can happen, because like in Indonesia and Philippines, they are a group of island country, so their land might be covered like surrounded by the water. So sometimes some of the part of your country may like lower than a water sea level. So it one day, how could I say, like, because your land is lower than a water sea level, so that's why your country always meet with the natural disaster like earthquake. But we are here, we are in the land continent. We have a big land. Surrounded by the land. It's not surrounded by the water, so we are higher than a water sea level. Yeah. What are the important of the coral reef? Coral reef is an underwater ecosystem which can help protecting storm and erosion. Actually, it stay under the sea, but how could it protect from the storm? No, when the storm come, when the hurricane come, so they will hit with the head of the coral reef. So the coral reef will help you to make the storm separate. To make the storm become separately, and they will be how could I say, in Khmer we call Sai, but in English I don't know how to say that. But the storm start to decrease. Yeah. So coral reef can help you. One more, coral reef can also help with your medicine and food as well. Yeah. So in my conclusion, to sum up, natural disaster has given us the world with two serious catastrophes which actually cost human lives, country interest. The world has made the verification system known as UN to serve each country dilemmas. In order to keep information relevant to the natural disaster up to date and validity, people should adopt yourself and with social media sites, connection and smart. Last but not least, natural disaster cannot be managed over a single institution, but it's come from people, it's come from ourselves. So try together to make the world become prosperity. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Tola, for your insightful speech once again. It is really great that you have mentioned like hit the point about the point to prevent and to use the natural disaster. And we have one question from our participant to you, Tola. It is about how climate change in Cambodia make the natural disaster like flood in Cambodia has increased too, and how the government strategy to facing its issue.
Okay, so thank you for the question. So as we are the Cambodian people, we understand like their situation in our country. So the government, sometimes their problem is kind of far from the city, and the government is in the central of the city. So they might be difficult. They don't do they don't serve on time. Sometimes, for example, if the problem happened at 5 o'clock, so the government will do like 2 days ago or something. So I will not blame my government. Maybe because I am living here, but they don't do much. But they help. They help as well. They help with money. Most of the time they help with money. They don't actually use with the strategy to prevent or something, because we are lack of knowledge, we are lack of webinar, we are lack of their people in the rural area. They are lack of how to stay informed, but fortunately our country just only have with the flood and drought, so I think it's not a kind of serious problem. So the government, they do as well. The government, they help with us with the money. They also come directly to the rural area to evacuate the people from flood and to rebuild the house like this. Yeah, we also have, but not all the parts. And right now, still, I mean, since we have a lot of rich people in a country, not a lot, but they are like, I would mention some of the people, you know, they have a lot of money, so they help more than government. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Dola. So maybe if other participants have question, we can like do Q&A session like at the end of session. So now I would like to give the floor to our next speaker, Mr. Abrahim. So the floor is yours now. Thank you.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Okay, thank you for the opportunity, Fan. Today, I'm gonna give perspective about Indonesia disaster mitigation system. So the title itself is called Optimizing Dissemination and Validity of Information for Natural Disaster Mitigation in Indonesia and Cambodia. But unfortunately, most of my material will be consisting about what I will do because I position myself as a practitioner. As I see many of you guys here giving context as a researcher or as an observer. Here I will give some of context about what is actually happening in Indonesia when we're talking about mitigation system. Hopefully it can enlighten you all about how we do mitigation system in Indonesia, something like that. Okay. First of all, are you all can see what I am presenting here? Is it clear?
Yeah, it is clear.
It's clear? Okay. Okay. First of all, my name is Gio. I'm from Pahlawan Bencana. It's a disaster mitigation community for children. We specialize to give education towards children about what to do when facing difficulties in disaster, what to do when there is an earthquake, what to do when there is a flood, and something like this. So we give education. So we move uh, in the period of time before the disaster itself. Next, I will give you some view about the condition of Indonesia itself. Indonesia is quite unique. First, maybe I would like to answer Mr. Tola question, yeah, about the climate in Indonesia. The climate in Indonesia is mostly it's tropical because as you can see here, we were crossed by the equator line. So we only have two seasons here, rainy season and dry season, something like that. The rainy season happened between June until end of the year, or maybe sometime it's changed. It's not entirely clear and fixed because the climate change right now. So uh, it's very random. Okay. The main issues that Indonesian have is one of them is tectonic plates. It generates something that we know as earthquake. So there's two type of earthquakes. The first one is the volcanic earthquakes, which Indonesia also have too, and the second one is the tectonic earthquakes. This happen and cause a massive devastation. As in Indonesia, two of the most famous, if I can say three of the most famous or infamous disaster are the first one is the tsunami in Aceh, located in our most western island, big island in Sumatra. It happened. The earthquake happened in the Indian Ocean, and the tsunami it's just destroy, wreak havoc everything in Banda Aceh. The second one is the earthquake in Pangandaran. Pangandaran located in the south part of Java. So there's this big earthquake also which caused tsunami and also wreak havoc around Pangandaran, something like that. And the third one is the earthquake in Jogja. The earthquake in Jogja caused massive uh, casualties and also loss with lives and materials also. Nah, both of these three big disaster is happened in the close periodic of time. It's, if I'm not mistaken, it was like around 2006. And our last disaster is happening in Palu. In Palu, if you guys ever heard, there's this tsunami too also. There's an earthquake in the ocean. The tectonic plates somewhere in the east, it's moving and it's caused a big tsunami and causes so many life also. The These pictures I saw here show you guys about the spread of the tectonic plates. If you can see, Indonesia is as an archaeological country. It's an island country. So how we handle situation between each islands, it's quite different. As you can see from the east part, the Papua, until we go down to the Kupang and Nusa Tenggara, and then Java, and then Sumatra, the tectonic plates is scatter a lot, and there's so many red dots. This is the tectonic plates. But when you see in the middle the island of Borneo or Kalimantan, there's not many tectonic plates and scatter. So when we're talking about disaster mitigation or prevention or reducing risk in Indonesia, we have to talk about different area as well. This is why it's quite difficult for Indonesian people or for the government to find a right system or the good system, because everything needs to be special and specific to the area itself. Okay. First, maybe I will start with what is disaster mitigation? Disaster mitigation are measures those eliminate to reduce the impact of risk of hazard through protective measures taken before an emergency or disaster occurs. So Indonesia now have been shifting our paradigm, our mindset. Before, we are mainly focused about search and rescue, how to send logistic, how to give strong search and rescue team. Basically, we're more focused on the post-disaster system. But after disaster that I said in Aceh, in Yogyakarta, in Pangandaran, we adopt this thing called, and already mentioned by our first keynote speaker, Mr. Muhammad, the Sendai framework. This framework mainly focus about how to educate our people, how to educate our citizen, what to do to reduce those risks, what to do, what can we do to not making those risks. And one of the product itself is actually my community or our community in Pahlawan Bencana, where we teach children that this is what to do. You have to have open space in your area. You have to have highland near the beach, so you can have escape route, or you have evacuation route, something like that. So let me translate to you. This is a spread of disaster number in province in Indonesia. So we have 34 province in Indonesia. The most populated one and the most crowded one is actually Jawa Barat or West Java. It have one of the highest of disaster in the range of 1015 until 2014. This disaster range from hydro disaster, geological disaster, all sort of natural disaster and something like that. This is also cause the government need to give more focus in some certain area that have higher risk. Where do we know this higher risk? So this government of Indonesia, they create this system called INARIS. It's a product of BNPB and some of academics and some of researcher. So maybe it's already mentioned by the first speaker, but I will give a more detailed explanation. So INARIS, this application is become more specific. So for example, if I am now in Jakarta, so if I open INARIS, it will show what sort of disaster that usually occurs there, and what sort of disaster that might be happen there, such as, for example, typhoon or flood or earthquake or something like that. It will show in INARIS, and so we can do prevention, so we can prepare ourselves for the worst, for the situation that will happen, something like that. This thing is also show that the scatter of the disaster in Indonesia is mainly happen in Java, because again, disaster happen when there is a loss of material or lives, and in Indonesia, one of the most crowded and populated island is Java, so it risks become higher. That I will further explain in the, what does it called in English? In the formula how we can calculate disaster. So first of all, I will I will introduce you to my community. So this my community of mine, it's Pahlawan Bencana Activity. So Pahlawan means hero and Bencana means disaster. So Pahlawan Bencana happened because we from Pahlawan Bencana mostly active in the post-disaster situation. When we come to the disaster area, what we see is actually casualties already done. So city already destroyed, people are already losing their life, their jobs, and their family. This thing make change in ourselves, that if we keep doing this curative approach or this post disaster approach, what will happen is actually we hurt ourselves, then we heal it back again, not what we can do in the first place by avoiding the problem itself. So we make this community, it's called education and also post disaster knowledge and introduction, something like that. This is also been supported by the government. Government is really trying to give perspective to the people, to the community, to the society, that there are certain things we can do to avoid the disaster itself. For example, Indonesia now have more strict rules about where can you build something. So, for example, there is this area that is very prone to landslide, so that there will be no housing there, and there will be no real estate there, and the law is really clear there that there are certain areas that cannot be populated because of the disaster mitigation itself. So the view is and the resource is moved to there, so we can more focus about how to uh, enforce the law, how to enforce the rule, rather than curing the problem that are already done. Though we did not forget, and we still strengthening our curative system and our fast response team. But the focus now mainly being there in the product of, for example, AMDAL, analysis dampak lingkungan. It's one of the method by the government to have control function. So when we want to when the community want to make something, or when there is a big program such as, for example, power plant or factory, uh, we can minimize the risk when there are disaster. For example, maybe some of you guys know the infamous Fukushima reactor disaster. Mitigation now, it's having that phenomenon as the benchmark, or how we handle situation. By in the first place, that will not be risk if everything was really calculated well, so we don't make the, for example, the nuclear reactor there. Or in Indonesia, maybe we don't make our power reactor there or something like that, so it become more focused. This is also why the explanation the last disaster in Palu causes a really huge problem, because the enforcing law system is not really doing well. So people still build house near the beach, and in the area is very prone to tsunami. When the rule is already set that you cannot build housing there, you cannot build commercial activity there because the risk is too big. Now we are more mainly focused in that. And in Palawan Bencana, back again, we mainly focus on children. So we're giving education for our next generation and our children about what do you need to know about disaster, because we believe when we know about disaster, our perspective and how we handle things will become easier, because we have the same we have the same view, we have the same perspective, so we can move together and now how to handle things well. One of example that I want to point out, after the huge earthquake happened in Jogja, near the peak of, not the peak, the near the section of Merapi where the lava should have gone, and the volcanic cloud should have gone, people still build housing and commercial activity. But after the disaster, after more knowledge, after more socialization, people know that it's dangerous to build something there, and there is always a risk for making activity or doing activity there. So it's one of the way, by giving knowledge and sharing education, we can reduce the risk itself from natural disaster. This is one form of mitigation. Now, by focusing on children, mainly we focus on the more simple things such as a disaster response, like what to do when there is an earthquake. Okay, the first step, you need to be not panic. You need to be calm. You need to know where to go. You need to know what can you do. What one thing we have to campaign is the response, like protect your head and also bow down so you don't injure your head and neck, and also find some hard objects to protect. And if possible, you can go outside and find an empty space, or maybe we do this simulation. So one of the part of the simulation is school watching. So we ask children to move around their school or their environment to point out, like which of the area is actually have risk when there are a flood, or accordingly to the disaster that usually happen in their area. For example, the most risk, the disaster that would likely happen in the area is earthquake. So we point out, like, oh, this roof is very dangerous because the building is not strong enough when there's earthquake shake. So you need to avoid this area and run towards other place, and something like that. So we practice more on the response. So also we also do social media campaign, like maybe if I can take example, like how the government and the WHO has been really strong campaigning about how to wash hand. This is also what we can do on natural disaster, like don't throw your play, don't litter in a random place. Okay, throw your place at the right place, do recycling, and also don't cut trees. Also make sure your environment, water sewage is not blocked and have a good access, and also evacuation route is also clear in your area. And if there are evacuation route, make sure that you have a good sign or a good direction or information to know where people should go when there is an earthquake or something. So we mainly focus in mitigation in something like this. Okay, this is what I told you about the formula of disaster. Sorry, how to remove this? Okay, the element of disaster. So we can call an earthquake disaster or a flood disaster, on even a huge fire disaster, when there is a loss, when there is a victim, or when there is something that you lost in there. So how to calculate is actually the risk is equal to threat A, ancaman is threat and kerentanan is risk, divided by M, kemampuan. Kemampuan is capability, or we like to call it capacity. For example, in Jakarta, the risk is equal to the threat. For example, the threat is tsunami, is land liquidity, is the process of the land become lower and lower slowly until it become under the sea level. It's called it's what's it called, divided by capacity. Like the capacity, for example, we make a huge dam like they do in Netherlands, or we make building higher, or we move the housing to somewhere safer. That is the capacity. Or the capacity is also the emergency lines, the crisis center, the response team. So when we're talking about disaster and how we handle disaster, we need to know also about the capacity of the area to handle itself. Maybe right now the most easy way to see it is actually about COVID. Yeah, how bed availability in hospital, it's very different between province and between country, and also the risk is also different. So there we can see how much is the risk, how high is the risk, and the number is already shown in the data by the first speaker, Mr. Muhammad. He showed that in Indonesia we're not very high in the risk, but there is still risk. And when the number become lower and lower, that's better, because we know that this disaster is under our belt, or this disaster is manageable by us. Okay. Okay, this is maybe my last material. So one of the thing that been campaigning by my community, Pahlawan Bencana, and also BNPB. BNPB is the National Disaster Management in Indonesia, the institution that responsible for disaster field, and also many other is Tasiaga. Tasiaga is adopted by how Japan handle disaster. So this thing, it's a simple bag. It's a simple bag, but it contains things that very important for you to survive when there is a disaster happen. Why? For example, one of the things that likely occurs in Indonesia back again is earthquake. When there's an earthquake happen, you need to go outside. You need to find empty space. You need to find open field. But by the time that happened, that you need to run quick. You don't have time to take your belongings or to take your money or something. So to skip time or to reduce time, you put all of your important things or all or your emergency things, which I will explain in the next slide. What is it? In the bag. In the bag. So you usually put this somewhere near the exit place, so you can quickly grab it and run to the open field, and it will sustain you for 3 days. So this Tasiaga will contain things such as mask, boots, gloves, clothes, and jacket, raincoat, radio, key, money, important documents, medicine, water, and also flashlight and other things. So why 3 days? Why this Tasiaga need 3 days? Because usually when disaster happen or occurs, which is very bad, help usually come in the count of 3 days. So the refugee camp or the government, it's setting up the place is they need time. So usually 3 days is the fastest times for the whole system to work. So this bag can help you to survive for 3 days until disaster happen. So this is one of our product, and we've been campaigning it. So if you guys now don't have a Tasiaga, I hope you all start to make it, because it really helps. It really helps when disaster occurs, when thing happens, when suddenly there's a flood and you need to escape. So you can take this. And also Tasiaga is very customizable. So it depends on what is your most important thing and the type of disaster. For example, in the flood, you may need a raft or something like that that can help you float, or you may need more things that waterproof or some or water resistant. So this is adjustable to the type of disaster that is exists in your area. Okay, maybe this is all for me, and you guys can reach us at Pahlawan Bencana in Instagram if you have anything to ask, or you guys just want to check out our activity. Maybe that's all for me. I hope my point is clear. If you guys have a question, I would love to answer some. So I will give the floor back to Miss Moderator. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Abraham, yeah. So it is just great to speak from you. And if any participant you have any question, you can drop here. First question come from Mr. Dola once again. He want to ask how many with climate change in Indonesia.
Okay. Thank you for the question, Mr. To. Because we only have two seasons, like dry season and rainy season. The climate change is I cannot tell how many numbers because you ask like how many, right? How many weather change happen in Indonesia. So because it's very random, but what I can tell you is the duration. Usually, dry season, it's happening between the start of the year until the middle of the year. But right now, it's very random. It can last like 8 months or even 9 months. So the effect of the climate change is more towards that, towards the elongation of the certain season. Sometimes the rainy season can be very long too. Moreover, we have this unique situation like a few months ago where back then I was staying in Bandung. It was very cold. We even have mist there. Usually in the in daytime it was like 20 25 or 24 degree, but it can suddenly really low like 21 degree because of the wind, something like that.
Yeah. Okay. Maybe Mr. Totla, maybe are here. Okay. So we have another question from Mr. Bitbol. It's about which area of Indonesia without earthquake? Yeah. Maybe one question from Mr. Bitbol come to you, Mr. Ibrahim.
Oh, sorry. Pardon. I didn't hear. What was the question?
One question is about which area of Indonesia without earthquake?
Which area of Indonesia without earthquake?
Yeah.
Back again. I was explaining that there is two type of earthquakes. The first one is the tectonic earthquakes. It happened because the tectonic plates is moving. They're moving at the really glacial and slower pace. But when when the right situation hit, boom, it can cause a really huge magnitude. And the second one is volcanic earthquakes. In the terms of volcanic earthquakes, the the area of near Borneo usually don't have that many of earthquakes, but they have different problems. They have different problems such as the rainforest being burned, so there's huge fire there. Okay, and also maybe if I see the map, somewhere near the equator, but still there is a risk of earthquake, but it's very small, very little. So when you say there is no earthquake, there is an earthquake, but the risk is lower. But they have different problems.
Yeah. So thank you for your answer. And we have another question. I would like to go first to Mr. Tokla. Mr. Tokla, like one question is how percent the society in Cambodia has educated about this issue? Is it put as the one important things for government or society?
Well, so thank you so much for the question from Jin Lee Emmanuel. Yeah. So thank you for the question. Like I have mentioned already about the knowledge in my country. So if we compare it to the last 10 year, so I was born in 2000, so I'm not really sure about the last, before 2000, but I'm sure about during 2002 or maybe 2003. So the education of the people, um, there are, they have limit of the education, not only about the natural disaster, but they also have the knowledge. They are lack of the knowledge of other sectors like business or study. Lack of knowledge. But for the natural disaster we are talking today, I could say it's currently, before it's almost it's up to 7 or 80% because people don't really know much about the phenomena happen in Cambodia. Like they just know, oh, the rainy season come, they will grow like some of the crop which is aware of water, and then when the dry season come, they grows like the dried crop, something like this. But they don't know about the storm, about the the lightning strike. They don't have a lightning strike protection, so they will easily get die because of the lightning. And but right now we know a lot about the how to prevent. So we set up the lightning strike in every house. We have their protection and of the some of the buildings. So Phnom Penh is okay. Phnom Penh is very safe. We don't have any natural disaster. We only have the like a rain. We only have acid rain, but for earthquake, for a storm, we also have storm and lightning strike, but it goes into the protection and go to their when it comes, so their protection will damage it. So it's okay, and it's work for people in here. But I would say the education before is so low, and but right now after the globalization, people know a lot about like social media. They know how to protect from the natural disaster and other dangerous problem. Or yeah, so I could say it right now. The education is up to I could not say 100%, but it's up to 80 or 90. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Dotla. And another question goes to Mr. Yeah, I always forget your name. Sorry. Ibrahim, okay. Another question is about how Palawan Bencana dominate the valid information about the natural disaster update or potential, and how the way to tackle the ox news about that. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, this is mainly one of the point that I haven't mentioned before, yeah, about how we can get good information about disaster itself. Actually, what been said from the speaker from Cambodia is actually can be done in Indonesia, because our very what does it call, BMKG, it's the institution that is responsible for reporting any meteorological activity or any geological activity. It's really good. They are always updated in Twitter, in Instagram. But what happened, like they give detailed information, like how big is the earthquake is, or what happened in here and there, what to do and else. And also in Indonesia right now, it's very decentralized. So we have this BNPB, which is in the national, but we have this BPBD, which is in the regional level. They are coordinated by the police officer and also with the army. So when disaster occurs, which the situation is very dire enough, they will have this broadcasting team, and they will have this system to actually evacuate the people. So what most important is actually you double check, and I'm pretty sure all of the guys is pretty young. It's where they're digital natives. They can differentiate false information. You just look up for the source from the source. If you confuse which one is the valid source, almost all of media social now is actually provided this blue cross-check thing called verified. So when the information is provided by this verified account or by this media that is actually have legitimacy, moreover, if it's been broadcasted in the national television, you can believe that information. And when we're talking about natural disaster, yes, but still, when you're happen to have two sources that which is both equally valid, and you're confused which one you must trust, I suggest to ask to see social media about the discussion. If you think that is too much information, you can ask about your siblings or simply hang out with your neighbors. This is the thing that we South Asian do. We are very close with our neighbors. That it can also form a social factors. It is sorry, not a risk factor. It can also form this supportive factors to know. So you can actually help each other to get good information, something like that.
Yeah. And maybe the question from Mr. Chip, Mr. Bitbol, come to you once again, Mr. Ibrahim. It is about why don't people move to live in area without earthquake in Indonesia?
Okay, thank you for the question, Mr. Sorry, what is his
Bitbol, yeah.
Yeah. It's quite difficult, but maybe to give you some perspective, right now Indonesia it's in process to move our capital. Our capital right now it's in Jakarta. We're trying to move it to Kalimantan, where it more centralized. It located more central in our big island country, so it can reach other thing, and the disaster risk is lower. For earthquake, we don't know if when we move there, maybe we have new type of disaster, but I quite believe when government do this huge project, they must do good calculation. And why people not moving easily from one area to another? Because simply when we're talking about disaster, I'm considering ourselves right now. We are quite educated as in university level, not to lower those who don't study and else, but in UNDP there is this huge topic. Which one must we more rely on doing disaster mitigation? The first one is tacit knowledge. It's the thing that we know. We study about tectonic plates. We study about how the tsunami happened. We study about wave movement and wind movement and something. And the second one is indigenous knowledge. Those people live there for hundred or maybe thousand of years, and to move them to another location, even though the risk is lower, it's not just a matter of safety and else. There is also a factor of anthropological thing. There is also a factor of the social thing. They have culture. They have already set up their identity. They're identifying themselves with that area and location. Maybe we can argue, like for example, in area of called CPA. CPA kan maybe it's quite huge. You can move it to the side or to the area that not hit it as bad as in the area of CTA. Basically, it's still in the CTA, but we try to move themselves. Now we will face new problems such as how to open the land, because when government want to find them, we must refund them. We must give them jobs. For example, in their old place, they may be a farmer. Now we move them to the new area and they cannot plant crops and else. So it creates new problems. So in the ideal world, maybe it's better to move those people to the area that don't have risk. But it's not that easy. So what must we do is we have to live with the problem. We have to live to the problem by increasing the capacity, something like that. So the risk will always there. Maybe they can make a new building structure that is more resistant towards earthquake, or maybe they can have a better early warning disaster system, so they know when there is an earthquake, so they can move up from the building, something like that. So moving people it's not a mere easy task to do. That is why there are people who still live in like Java with which have high risk of earthquake, something like that. Not all of them moving to Kalimantan. Maybe that answered the question.
Okay, thank you for your answer. And so now I think our events come to the end. So I would like to give the floor to Jenny and Aprilia. Maybe, yeah.
Miss Aprilia. Okay, I think she has another issue. Okay, Miss Aprilia, are you okay?
Hello. Could you hear my voice? Okay. Okay. Sorry, because my connection, I have something happened to my connection before, and then yeah, finally, everyone, we come to the end of ICYIP 2021 season 7, and before we end this webinar, we will listen closing remarks from Mr. Jenly. Please, Mr. Jenly, time is yours.
Okay, thank you, Miss Aprilia, for the opportunity. I'm so really appreciate for all the speakers. There is Kenyan speakers, start from Kenyan speakers, Indonesian speakers, and also the Cambodian speakers. This is one of the really good discussion for us because I'm as the one of the participants follow and enjoy this discussion. And after this webinar, I have more like new knowledge and information about this disaster management, how Indonesia, how Cambodia facing this issue, and as the human, we absolutely have to uh, taking this issue as the one important things to we make a prevention, we make a mitigation for our society and for our future life. And then especially I would like to thank you very much again to all the speakers uh, here, Mr. Tola and also Mr. Gio. Thank you very much for your availability to join this session and giving more valuable and insight information and experience with us. Hopefully, all the participants can take more benefits from this event. And I also looking forward for any collaboration, any cooperation between us. Okay, I think that's all for from Ruang International. Thank you, and I give uh, this place to return to Miss Aprilia. Yeah, I think she still has another issue with the connection. So I try to lead the session. We enter to the photo session. So I invite especially our speakers, Mr. Gio and uh, Mr. Sola, to open your video, and also all the participants join us in the photo session. Yeah, wait. I think I make some focus for the speakers. Wait. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. One, two. Wait. One, two, three. Again. Yeah. One, two. Okay, wait. 1, 2, 3. Smile. 1, 2, 3. Gain. 1, 2, 3. And last 1, 2, 3. Okay. Thank you so much for the time and the availability. So I give really appreciate also to Miss Juan Strayrod for moderate this webinar session. That's all from me and from the team of Raw International. We once more to say thank you very much to all participants and to all the speakers. And see you in the next session in the webinar session in the next week. Thank you, Mr. Gildan. Thank you,
Thank you. Bye
Mr.
bye.
Tola. Thank
Bye
you, all
bye.
the
Thank you,
participants. Thanks,
everyone.
moderator.